Hey guys, this is Jeff here and welcome back to the Runner's Desk. And this is a video I've been wanting to do for many years. It is my favorite shoes of ASICS over the last 30 years. I'll give you a hint. It's actually 35 plus years. Okay, so I have been running since 1984, and pretty much from 1984 to 2004, I mostly wore ASICS. There's a few other shoes here and there, Nike Huaraches and the Netonic Pro 3s and stuff that I wore. But for the most part, from 1984 to 2004, I wore ASICS. And probably one of the most memorable ones is this one, the 125 MC, which stood for motion control. Why is this so memorable? Because, well, I ran my first Los Angeles Marathon in this shoe, and at the time, motion control shoes were like the thing in the 90s, and so I just thought it was so cool. A lower price point motion control shoe. It was a big old honker, it was a big old wide platform, it was a boat, and I wanted to run the marathon in this shoe so badly that I was willing, yes I was willing to wear a size 8 in this shoe because that was the smallest size they did the men's in. In case you didn't know, I am a size 7. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I wore a size 8 during the LA Marathon. They were massive on me. Huge. I was floating around there. The shoe came with paddles. I mean, I was all over the place in this thing. And yes, I did blister all over the place. I had blisters across both arches. I think there was more blister than foot by the time I was done with those shoes. But, you know, I thought they were the coolest thing at the time. And 26 miles, 0.2 miles later, I thought they were the most painful thing at the time. Yes, they were. Yes, they were. After that, I went to a lot less shoe than that. That fit me. How about that idea? Wow, what an idea. So, before the marathon and wearing that way too big of shoe, what did I wear? I wore some miscellaneous ASICS from 84 to about 88 or so, and then I ran cross country in high school, and that is when I started wearing shoes like the GT3 from ASICS. I had the gel GT3, and what was so unique about this shoe was that it had this split tongue. So I hope you can see in the picture here that there was a split down the tongue to, like, I guess, relieve pressure off the top of the foot. In case you were wondering, it did not do well, and so they in the future got rid of that split tongue. But the GT3 is such a classic shoe that they have reissued it over the years, and so if you can find them now. But yeah, that was one of those cool shoes. It had 3 density foam in there too. There was softer spots of foam and firmer spots in different strategically placed parts of the midsole. So it was kind of a unique shoe in that sense that it had different mixes of different density foam, and then it also had this big plastic plastic heel piece around the heel. But the big story with that shoe was always the split tongue. It was kind of unique and different. Anyway, that was one of my favorites, was that one. And another one that was one of my favorite shoes around that time, around 1990 to 1991, 92 in there, was the Gel 120. So this was a big series from ASICS, the Gel 100 series, and eventually did 120, 121, 22. And then also like that shoe that I did the marathon in, the 125 series. And then, of course, that 125 MC that I ran the marathon in. But one of the best shoes they ever did was the Gel 120, and I believe they have reissued those ones even occasionally here and there, but not as big as the Gel Light 3, and also another shoe I'll mention in soon. But the Gel 120 was really good. It was a lightweight shoe. It had really good stability. It felt good. It fit real well. It came in multiple widths at the time. So yeah, the Gel 120 was a really good shoe. Lightweight, fit well. It was one of those shoes that really cemented ASICS as like a really good fitting shoe, because I remember a lot of people liked the fit of that shoe, the Gel 120. All right, so somewhere in there, I can't remember when, and I think I've had it different times over the years because they have reissued this one, and that was the ASICS Epirus. And this thing was really known because of its yellow mustard upper. Still really cool color, and every once in a while ASICS will do another kind of like either retro or some kind of revamp of something in a mustard yellow in honor of the Epirus. And what I recall with the Epirus was that it was the first EV injected midsole that came with two densities, so a firmer foam and a softer foam, which really kind of changed the landscape of stability, like technology in the shoes, being not just like a sheet foam. A lot of shoes back then were sheet foam. This was an injected EVA, so much more modern. I mean, that's basically how they make shoes even today, but it was two density, so it was an injected EVA, and I believe, if I recall, it was the first shoe to have that really unusual color of yellow mustard, and it stands out. It stands out. I still have one pair somewhere, and if I can, I'll try to show it around here. All right, on the next shoe coming up. Okay, so after my ridiculousness of wearing a way too big 125 MC gel ASICS shoe for the 1996 Los Angeles Marathon, my first one, and blistering up like I was going out of style, because you can't have too many blisters, you know, it's just one of those things. Moved on to one of my favorite shoes of all time. I wore this shoe for many, many years in the right size. The DS Trainer. So this was a huge shoe for them. It was a lightweight shoe. It had this really unique kind of plasticky, grippy material in the forefoot. It was kind of noisy. I will admit that it was kind of noisy. There wasn't complaining about the DS Trainer, that plastic. They ultimately got rid of it, and it was noisy, but it also worked really good in any environment. Asphalt, trail. I mean, it worked really well on trail. I thought it was one of my favorite shoes at the time, especially back then when trail shoes were just kind of emerging in, like, you know, 1997-ish or so. They weren't really good. They were kind of clunky, half-baked shoes at the time. Now trail shoes are really, really good for trails, but at the time trail shoes were kind of like and something like the DS Trainer with that plastic kind of grippy material on the bottom, it worked great. But it also worked great when it was raining and all kinds of surfaces. It was really good. It was a really great shoe. I believe at some point they actually made a DS Racer, like a lighter weight version of it. Yeah, the DS Trainer was such a great shoe. I wore that basically from like 97, I would say all the way till 2004. So anyway, yeah, the DS Trainer, in particular the 1997 version, which I believe was like the second version of the DS Trainer. And then I wore different versions over it. Eventually they started making the Noosa, which is another shoe I'm going to mention on this list, was based originally off of the DS Trainer. So anyway, we'll get into that one next. So yes, based off of that DS Trainer, my next shoe on this list here of my favorite shoes of ASICS over the last 30 years is the Noosa. And the Noosa was kind of like, I don't even know how it got it going, but it somehow picked up steam with like triathlons and triathletes, and so it became a very, very big popular shoe in the triathlon world. I don't know because of the crazy colors or what it was, but I recall it was built originally off of the DS Trainer, and just like got rid of the plasticky kind of grippy material in the front and just added these wacky colors, except for one. There was one version that they've done, I think, a few times, but they do it in a black and white camo. And it's just bizarre. It's like they take this crazy colored shoe that's known for the crazy color shoe, and they did a black and white camouflage thing. And it's so cool. It's just super cool. But yeah, the Noosa is very cool in general. But that was like a really cool shoe. I love that one. The black-white camo version of the Noosa is unique and fun. In fact, I think the Noosa, with all those crazy colors, I think actually influenced this shoe that I'm going to show right now, which is the Huaka from Hoka, which was also very popular with triathletes. I used to wear this shoe a lot just for conversation piece going to places. If you're liking this type of content, please let me know if you like these like lists, if you want me to do like my favorite Nike shoes over the last 3 years or something like that. And of course, if you are enjoying this, please like and subscribe so I know. Keep going, keep doing more of these videos. I like doing them, they're fun. All right guys, we're now jumping into around that 2013 to 2015 time of ASICS shoes, and really some cool kind of shoes that kind of picked back up around that time were the ASICS Kayanu and the ASICS Nimbus. These were shoes that came out, started off in the 90s, and so these were two shoes that came out then that really pushed up the bar of as far as price. They were around $120 back in like 1993 or so, and people just were like, that is crazy. No one's going to spend that much money on running shoes. Well, here we are. Now they're 165 or so. I remember way back in the 90s, the ASICS Kayano in particular, man, that thing had more stitching across the side of the shoe. It's unbelievable. So many people would blister on that. So uppers have really gotten better. One of the times where they really improved the upper on them was in 2013, 2014. What they did is that on the side of the shoe here, I'm going to try to show a picture, they put these stretchy materials. Let me know down in the comments if you had these ASICS Kayanos or Nimbuses where they had the stretchy material on the side, which let the shoe fit nice and snug, but it wouldn't pinch up or rub on your pinky toe. And I started wearing ASICS at that time again, and they were super cool. Yes, the ASICS Kayano, especially the 13s and 14s, and the Nimbus, these are going together, the ASICS Kayano and the Nimbus. The Nimbus is just like a non-pronator version of the Kayano. And so, but they both had similar kind of uppers where they had this stretchy material. It's like almost like a super thin neoprene or something, and it would just mold to your foot. It wouldn't pinch up or squeeze up on it. It was really cool. I really wish they would bring that kind of stretchy material back to the shoes. They aren't going to do that. And people want to be held in. Okay, guys, before I get to my final favorite shoe from ASICS, I want to mention one of the ones that I didn't actually have, but it's one of my favorites because the story of this shoe for me was so funny. There was a shoe way back in like 96 or 97, the ASICS Gel 2040. Now, I don't remember having it because I have a flatter arch on my right foot in particular, and I remember the arch in the shoe being really, really high. And that's part of the story here. So stick around here. You got to hear this story. It's really funny. So I worked at a place in Encino, California called Fidibities, and we were the mecca of running shoe stores. If you remember this place, let me know down in the comments. It was called Fidibities, and it was in Encino, and we were the mecca. On a Saturday morning, it would be a 40-minute wait to get help. So I had a customer that came in. We're packed as usual. This guy comes in with his wife. He needed to get a new shoe, and he had gotten the Nike Structure from the year before. And so he said he wanted to replace that shoe. I admit I was maybe a little cocky, and I brought out the ASICS 2040, and he went bonkers. He was like, I said I want an update to this shoe, and I said, yeah. I go, well, this is gonna feel more like Nike Structure from last year than this year's Nike Structure. And he just rolled his eyes and was like, just give me the update, will you? And the whole store literally just went, and he just literally was like, did I say something? the whole place, and this one person like leaned over and said, they really know what they're doing here. Just go with it. So in the meantime, I had gone back, I got the Nike Structure, brought that out, and put the other one away. So he puts them both on, and he's walking around, and you could jog outside on the side of the store, and he comes back and he goes, okay, you're right, the ASICS feels more like my Nike from last year, I'll take those. Sorry about that. So it was one of those really funny stories. I got a lot of funny stories from Fidibity, so let me know down in the comment if you want to hear more really crazy, ridiculous stories from that store. Trust me, there's no end to them. That was just one of the funniest stories. I will never forget that shoe because of that story. So, and moving on to my last of my favorite shoes from ASICS, the last 35 years. My favorite last of the ASICS shoes in the last 30 years or so, 35 years, is the 25th version of the Nimbus. Why is this? I had several pairs of this shoe. I really like the 25th version of the Nimbus. I had the 26, didn't like it as much. It was a little firm. 27 is very cushioned as well, and I have a review on that shoe. It was just a little bit bulky and just kind of missing that crazy light but cushy feel of the 25. Why is this shoe so important? This was the shoe that really brought ASICS back, instrumental shoe for them. You know, shoes like Hoka and so forth, these max cushion shoes were just kind of owning the whole running shoe space. ASICS was kind of falling back, their sizings were funny, there wasn't anything particular magical about any of the shoes, and then boom, ASICS comes out with the 25th version of the Nimbus and also the Kayano, but the Nimbus 25th version was like magical. Put it on, it was almost like the Hoka Clifton 10 years ago when you got those, and it was like, wait a minute, how is this shoe this thick, this cushion, this wide of a platform, and am I even wearing the shoe? It's like so lightweight. You would hold it in your hand and almost drop it because you didn't think you had it in your hand. It was just so impossibly light, and yet it was like so much shoe in your hand, and then you put it on and you're like, am I actually on a Nimbus Cloud? Because it was so cushy and so light, and they've kind of lost that since that version. I hope they get that back. 25th version of the Nimbus being just a comeback kid shoe from ASICS. Fit a little blousy, wasn't perfect, but such a cool feeling shoe and so light. So fun to run in. It had a very strong rocker in the front, so it kind of rocked forward. I mean, really going after Hoka without any question, but I think they succeeded. I mean, I know they did. It did great. It put it on the map. Anyway, that's just a great shoe to close off the end of this list. And also really the Kayano, they kind of did it well. It didn't have quite the charm of that Nimbus 25. See you on the next video. All right, guys. Bye. Keep on moving. Moving. Gotta keep moving.